All right, welcome to EUphoria episode 8. I'm your host Dracos, here once again with Officio. This is the show about all things EULCS. It is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Subscribe. Show us that love. We love that you guys are listening. Our topics today are mean tweets and Twitter questions, final EULCS playoff predictions, some quickfire predictions, and our special topics of the day are the god of EULCS and MVP awards, and no surprise that it is in fact our guest, the god of the EULCS, who is here. Welcome, Gilius.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
All right, Gilius. Now, normally we like banter about some stuff, and we have some special kind of banter today because you have probably the spiciest Twitter account of any EULCS pro player or NALCS pro player, any Western pro player, potentially any pro player, but I do not read Chinese or Korean. And I would like to start with some dramatic reading of your tweets. Now, you are the OG who made the tweets. Now, you've got a list of tweets in front of you, so you can pick which one, and you can go first, and then me and Martin will follow in suit and read a lot of these. Now, there's a lot of profanity in here, and while we are generally okay with profanity on the show, it feels weird to explicitly have you say it. So if you can creatively bleep yourself, you know, maybe you say mother effers, maybe you make up a different word to fill it in. You know, I think some of the more wholesome audience might appreciate it.
All right, give us a tweet.
Actually, all of them are so insane.
These are all new tweets.
I think this one is good. Hide your junglers, EULCS teams. What I will do to them won't get out of your memory ever again.
So, okay, you gotta give us a little background story behind each of these tweets. Like, what was going through your head when you tweeted this out?
I was just trying to make a tweet that is like accepted by people that like don't like offensive stuff. So I thought about something.
Oh, potentially like more offensive.
No, like it was hard to do, you know. Like I usually write like effers, and then people don't like it that much. LOL Esports doesn't retweet it.
Yeah, well, I wonder why.
So I thought, how do I make a tweet that is like accepted by everyone and still hilarious? So this came out. Yeah.
All right, I got a tweet here from you. This is obviously from Gilius himself. This was before LCS started.
Remember, dramatic, really dramatic reading, really exciting. Like you're delivering the greatest analytical point of all time.
Let me try. I inspire myself every single day. It's really unbalanced being me.
This is actually great though. This is like a fantastic like self-confidence tweet. I feel like this is like you're gonna be on a promotional like or motivational poster.
Yeah, or you know, some like shows and whatever. When the show starts, there's like a nice little quote in the start at first. It kind of inspires you a little bit. This could actually be a quote in an LCS intro, and just said Gilius down at the bottom.
Actually, this is the one I remembered the least, you know.
This one? You don't remember that one?
No, I remember it now, but...
It was November, the 28th of November, you wrote it.
Yeah, it's a pretty, like, I think people got provoked by it, so...
They definitely did.
It's probably a good one, too. Yeah.
I mean, it's good. Yeah, I like it. Oh, God, there's so many to pick from, and they're all so spicy.
Huh?
And the question is, do I pick a longer one?
Go, get a longer one.
Longer one? No, I'm going to go for the short one. And if you want me to do another one, I can. All right. This one's my personal favorite, Gilius. I think this is a poetic masterpiece. We back in business. Suck my haters.
Oh.
Smiley face.
Big smiley face.
Yeah, I got into a bit of trouble for that one with my organization and with Riot.
So how does that work? Do they read your tweet and out of nowhere, someone just pings you on like Skype or email and says, "Hey, Gilius, let's talk." Or
yeah, my manager basically told me that it's a little warning, you know, like, all right, take care of your language and Twitter, and yeah, that's it.
That's interesting.
Now you just read it out really loud.
Woo. It's interesting. It's interesting to see where organizations draw the line because apparently it's like I feel like it might be the sexual aspect of the tweet.
Yeah, I don't think it's we back in business after winning a game. They're like, hey, calm down here.
Don't get people's hopes up. All right. I feel like we can get a few more in. So, Gilius, you could pick number 2. Let's pick, what else you got for us?
Oh, the one at Xerxes was pretty good.
Yeah, get us the Xerxes.
Only reality check I got from this game is that not a single team in this region is on our level. So,
This was fun fact. This was just before you guys started losing.
yeah.
So it was actually the perfect timing you got that tweet out.
Well, yeah.
The following week, it kind of went downhill.
But we were like 7-1 at this point.
Yeah.
Right,
Like you
yeah.
guys, because you guys just beat Splice, and it was like you only needed to beat, I think it was G2, and then you had played all the teams, and then G2 kind of.
Yeah, they crashed us.
Yeah, almost perfect game, you guys.
Yeah.
All right, give us one more Drakers,
more.
and then we can move on.
All right, we'll give you the longer one as you asked for. Most people with confidence got bullied out of the LCS by Reddit, but I survived, monkey fudgers. And now I'm taking over this region. You can figure out which word I censored.
Yeah, this is actually a real one, though. This is like the truth.
I mean, so talk to us about
talk to
that.
us about the truth then. Who got bullied out by Reddit? How do you...
I think a lot of people did, so I agree with
I
the
mean,
tweet.
many people in the last years, it's just, if you're on the hate list of Reddit, they're gonna talk shit every single day until actually organizations start believing that you're a bad player, and then you don't get picked up anymore. And for me, I actually... It was kind of like that for me last year, where after the relegation with Schalke, I didn't get many offers from good LCS teams, and I had to play Challenger for a year. And then people kept hating, but I actually started to get offers again this year. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know. This
You
tweet was
survived.
like the truth, I would say. Yeah.
But so you feel like it's mainly like organizations. They read this kind of stuff more than the player itself, because as a player you can just not go to Reddit, you know, if it annoys you.
Many players also believe what Reddit says. So
Okay.
that's pretty stupid.
So it's generally just a bigger problem where people read what a random person on Reddit says about Gilius and his abilities, and then they believe it. I mean, it's definitely, there's a lot of that in esports still, because it is just way easier in esports to actually connect with teams and pro players than it is in traditional sports. Like a lot of traditional sports athletes, they don't care. They won't they don't read these different forums. You know, it's not part of their everyday life. But I think it is for a lot of gamers. So it is always interesting. I mean, casting, same deal.
Get flamed every once in a while.
There can be a lot of stuff. It can both be positive and negative. It can be like a very negative snowball where you just get mentioned every time and get told that you suck no matter what happens. And you've just seen those threads where it's a conversation about water, and then someone says, yeah, I hate water, but I also hate this caster. And you're like, oh, okay. So it's just out of nowhere that just gets pulled in. But there's also the positive snowball, I guess, if everything is going well.
It's true, because literally every caster or player hate thread is like, yeah, I wish he was more like this person. Like, could you quantify that a little bit? Could you tell us why you like this person or player? Like, no. I hate him. I wish he was this person.
Now, I do like the point you make about how you started getting offers again after, because you went to America, obviously, and played for one split, and then you joined Giants. And on Giants, you guys obviously started winning everything. I remember a lot of people already when you were on Giants were kind of like, ooh, okay, this team is looking pretty good. Except for when you went into the promo tournament, and then the entire audience got to watch Giants, and everyone said, these guys, nah. They can't do anything. Like, yeah, they win in Spain, but who cares? On the big stage, they will crumble.
And then you crushed.
And then you guys actually crushed everything.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was kind of a standout moment for me about rookies plus a forgotten hero, basically.
Forgotten hero.
In Gilius.
Don't even say veteran. Forgotten hero. Okay, well, we are going to have a chance to talk about Gilius in your history as well here in a second. But before we do, I did promise Twitter that we would get some questions in.
Okay.
So let's just start with the one that we inevitably have to ask, which is Smite related, because there's about 60 of these, various jokes. Did you unbind Smite? Should you take Cleanse instead? Yada, yada, yada. Thank you to everyone who, after seeing 10 other people wrote the joke, wrote a new version. I appreciate your commitment to creativity.
Basically,
and
95% of the tweets.
We have some really good questions in here, too, that I really like. And the Smite one, I think, is still valid and totally fair to be asked. So talk to us about Smite, Gilius. What's going on in your world? How do you feel about smiting objectives?
So the thing with me and smiting is many games I'm so focused on other things that I don't actually look at the smite amount, like how much it does, or I don't focus on smiting it at the right moment because I'm looking at other things. And then it was like this 2 years ago for me as well with Schalke, where I was getting outsmited some weeks. Then my smites were good again. And then this week's I focused on just focusing on it. And then I still got outsmited sometimes. Shit happens. But yeah, I don't know. It's like when you're going for 50-50 smites, it's anyway a bad decision already.
Thank you.
So we're just focusing on cleaning up our game, and then there's not going to be smite wars, I would say.
So you do take some of the blame for it. I think that's what a lot of people are kind of hoping for in some way, because I personally always believe it's a 50-50 smite. In most cases, your team have done something wrong. Because I actually rewatched a lot of the Barons you guys lost. And there are so many times where your entire team is sitting there with multiple abilities ready that can actually deny a jungler from getting into the Baron pit in the first place, but no one uses it. And then the jungler jumps in, 50-50 smite, and then everything gets used. Like, specifically, the Rocket game where Memento stole 2 Barons from you guys.
Yeah.
Memento is on Sejuani, he dashes over a wall. Jizuke is right next to him with a Zia ulti, and he's like, nah, yeah, I don't care about that guy. And then, like, I'm just like, come on, like, just someone denied a jungle from getting in the first place.
Well, I think the call was like to rush the Baron like as soon as possible before he can get into the pit. But then we didn't have enough damage, and they stole it. But like anyway, I obviously I should blame myself for it. Like if I take the decision to go for the 50-50, then it's already
cool.
Like I f***ed up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed that you didn't react really violently to this question and like yell. That you reacted with a very cool head and calm temperament.
Well, the thing is, it's like such a stupid thing. Like people are so focused on the smite, they're like judging a jungler's ability by his smites, you know, so...
It's the easy way to judge a person. Like people
can't hold on. People don't understand pathing. People don't understand efficiency in the early game, but they can see smite, man. It's like the most tangible, immediate example of pass or fail, right? Like, did you hit a smite?
Did you hit a smite? Did you successfully gank someone and kill someone? Because like, if you pull off a gank and it's technically a good gank, but something goes wrong, like your support does something wrong, or just the timing's a little bit unlucky, people are like, that must have been a bad gank then because he didn't get anything. And then it's either good or bad. And that's what people can latch on to. And the same with smites. Did you get the Baron?
I mean...
Or did you not get the Baron?
Historically speaking, like playoffs or Worlds finals were never decided by 50-50 smite. It's like the team that is better gets the clean Baron and then wins the game. So
that's true.
I'm not worried about my smite abilities in playoffs. So.
Except for that one Smeb.
I was about to say there was an LCK final where it was the GP ult that stole
one time.
But that was not a 50-50 Baron.
That was not. That
was like a 91 to 1%.
Hail Mary Baron. All right. So we have 2 more questions. One coming in from William Babin99 HRX. He says, a lot of people compare your style to that of Dardoch. Where would you rank him against other Western junglers, including yourself?
Dardoch. I think Dardoch and me are pretty similar, actually. We play the same champs, I would say, most of the metas, and we are both pretty active in the early game. How would I compare him? I think he's probably top 5 in the West as a jungler. I don't want to say top 3 because right now they are like on a downswing. So, but yeah, I think he's really good. And yeah, when Gragas was in the jungle picture, he was a Gragas player. I was one. When Lee was in the picture, we both played Lee. So we're pretty similar, I would say. Yeah.
Do you see any similarities in personality?
Personality. Yeah, maybe actually. He's pretty honest as well. So, yeah.
Because
I mean, that's I think what a lot of people would see, right? Because even if you can't see like the nuances of play style, you can definitely see that you guys are both very confident players, right?
And I definitely want to talk more about that later as well. The good and the bad things regarding that.
Our final question comes from Bartosz. All right, I'm not going to pronounce your last name. I apologize. Bartosz at Bartek350Z. Who do you respect most as a player and a person?
Ooh.
So we can make that 2 parts. Who do you respect most as like a person, as an individual, and who do you respect most as a player?
As persons, I would say Soaz and Miffy. ever since I went into the scene, they were always like the people I looked up to and learned a lot from. And like whenever I chatted with them, like if it was at like when we went out or at the LCS studio, they taught me a lot of things. So I respect them a lot for that. And then as a player, probably Bjergsen and Reckless, just because of their work ethic and individual skill. Not because, like, I mean, there's one thing that bothers me with Bjergsen is that he's never successful internationally. But like when I see what he does in NA, I'm still pretty amazed, and I respect him a lot.
Yeah. Two big names. Cool to hear Soaz on that list, you know, because I think for me personally, like I see Mithy as this guy, and part of that's because I know him and I know the impact that he has on teams, but I don't think you hear as many people talk about Soaz in that like honorable person category. A lot more people are like, ooh, Fnatic veteran, been around forever, Soaz, as opposed to like talking about who he is as a person.
I don't know. I've heard it quite a few times, especially from Fnatic players and people who worked a lot with Soaz in the past, about the kind of impact he will have on your team, just because of like the amount of knowledge he kind of brings in terms of, you know, playing the game, being on a team, and he has this like really unique way of thinking in a lot of ways about what he specifically can do. And I think that brings a lot to a team other than just another player who can play his laning phase and whatever. Like he can actually like find creative ways to win you the game or talk through the game. And I've heard that praised quite a few times, which is of course one of the reasons he's remained very successful for this many years, because people are not praising Soaz for being the mechanical god up in the top lane who can just like carry every game possible, because he's been on Dog Champions for like 2 years now. So it's everything else he brings that people are praising. And I mean, there's a reason he's been at the top basically since he started in Season 1 when he made the World Final.
I think what's most impressive is, as you said, that they have a huge impact in the team just with their personalities and like having a leader role. I mean, Miffy, wherever this guy went in the last years, he won the EU LCS or went to semis at Worlds, so gotta respect it.
Absolutely do. All right, well that does it for our Twitter questions and our reading of Gilius tweets. Gilius, I hope that you will continue to tweet fun stuff.
Yeah. I hope so
that
too.
we can read in the future.
More warnings can come in.
If I'm allowed to, then the tweets will come.
Gilius Unleashed. So for our next topic, we want to talk a little bit more about you, Gilius, and your history. And before we start, Deficio has I don't want to call it a prepared speech. Deficio just wants to give people an overview, I think, of the history of Gilius.
Yeah, so, and I'm going to need your help here, Gilius, because let's just say that the first 2 years of your career, they were a little bit of a mess.
Yeah.
A lot of teams, a lot of switching around, but the first time people really saw you on the big stage, funny enough, was Worlds 2014, where Svenskeren, of course, got banned for the first 3 games of Worlds with the whole little name changing. That wasn't very smart from him back then. So Gilius, because you were on the SK Prime team, you got put in to the main lineup.
No, I was not on SK Prime.
Oh, you're not on SK Prime?
I was in Unicorns of Love.
Oh, they just randomly picked you and said, Gilius.
Yeah, the thing is, I just promoted to LCS, and Kenny Panda and me were just dual queuing because he was German. We just were friends. And apparently they asked the SK Prime guys, and they all said they don't want to go. So they had no one to take. So they just asked me. I was like, sure.
You were 17?
Yeah, I was 17. And I was like just chilling at home, just qualified to the LCS with Unicorns. And then, yeah, I just went to Worlds.
There you go. You just went to, how was that? Like, that must have been pretty crazy.
It was pretty sick, actually. It was so professional. Like, I fly to Taiwan, and then this insane car picks me up, and this guy in an insane suit. And then I drive to this 5-star hotel.
Oh, our hotel wasn't.
The hotel
crazy hotel.
I think it was even above 5 stars.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
Nicest hotel we've ever stayed at.
Okay, yeah. It was crazy. With this like rooftop swimming pool.
Yep.
And then, yeah, it was crazy. So I go into my room, and there's Sven Skaren. I had to share with Sven Skaren. And Sven Skaren and me were always flaming each other in solo queue. So it was a pretty awkward situation.
Oh, God.
So, and then when I asked the guys, why do I share a room with Sven Skaren? Like, we like each other the least. They were like, yeah, because he snores. And
yeah, that's true. I was on a team with him.
So I had to take one for the team. Yeah.
Oh, man. Fun story. 2012, when we created the original full Danish Copenhagen Wolves lineup, and Sven Skaren was he was a star player on it before Bjørksen joined. We had to go to this LAN event in Sweden, and we had to drive early in the morning from Denmark to get there. So we were sleeping all together, like this place we were boot camping. And first time, everyone just kind of slept in the same room, so no one knew about the Sven Skaren thing.
Shit.
And I don't think anyone slept more than like an hour that night except for him, because he was just snoring so loudly for the entire night, and you're stuck in his room and you can't get out. And it's just like, that was one of the worst nights ever of just, everyone just looked at each other and we're like, okay, this is so bad. This is like, we're done. We're so done. And then an hour later we had to get up and like drive all the way to Sweden and play this LAN event, and it was quite an experience. So ever since that, we made sure that we didn't have to sleep in the same room, because
what even is that? Sleeping 5 people slept in the same room?
Yeah, because it was like a boot camp thing we had. Like back there, no one booked hotels for you in 2012. This was simple times. Anyway, so Worlds, awesome, good stuff. You played 3 games.
Yeah.
You guys lose all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Gilius, you were to blame for all of them, if I remember correctly.
Sven Skaren at that time was just a beast, though.
He was insane.
You can't just take him away from the team and put in a challenger, serious jungler.
And you were not to blame, don't worry. You definitely tried your best, but...
Well, I think in the... what was it called? TPA game? Taipei Assassins game. I played quite well with Javan. We had like a 5,000 gold lead, and then we... Wait, what happened actually? We got... Oh, yeah, they ran down like mid lane to push our inhib, and then we all recalled, and then they just turned around and went to Nash. And then we lost. And yeah, the game was TSM and Royal Club. I think I played pretty bad, so I could be blamed for that.
So SK went down. Obviously, Sven Skaren came back for the second week, and they won a few games, but it was enough to get out. So that was like the big international introduction of Gilius, is out of nowhere. And you said it yourself, you just qualified with Unicorns of Love. And this is, of course, the original Unicorns of Love back then. The first time we got to see them actually on the big stage, when you guys were down 2-0 to Millennium, reverse swept them, got into the LCS with Poppy top lane from Visichachi that no one played at that time.
That was
did you guys have to play a game before that? Because I remember Power trashing on Alex Ish, but I can't remember the context.
We were the last seed of the Challenger Series, and we had to face G2, the first seed. So last seed was first seed in the first round. So we knock out G2 out of the tournament. Like the last place, and then when I handshaked Ocelot, he was so fucking mad. He had like veins on his head. It's like, and then...
Was he playing?
Yeah, he was playing.
Oh yeah, and Alex was top lane. Was that
no, that is just G2. That was
okay, so Ocelot was, yeah.
And then the next round, we faced... Wait. It was H2K, actually. And then we lost to H2K. And then we had to face... NIP for the third slot in the relegations, and that was the hyped NIP, like Alex Ish, Freeze.
Cool?
No, it was Lulex.
Was Lulex the jump?
Cabuchat, and
that was I forgot that was an NIP lineup. It wasn't Gambit. It was. I just remember Alex Ish.
And then we just absolutely destroyed them. 3-0. Stomps, like 20-minute stomps.
Alex got obliterated. That's like the one thing that stuck with me in that series.
But Puff Evil was like smurfing, man. Like at that time, I don't know, man. He was just too good. It was actually really easy to play with.
So Unicorns made it in. Yeah. Gilius did not make it in.
Yeah.
Because they removed you.
Yeah, they got Kikis.
They got Kikis instead of you.
Yeah.
Do you remember why they kicked you?
Honestly, it's like... So Kikis was like friends with all of the people in my team. and he was really, really good at that time. So it's understandable. Like Kikis was a free agent and was extremely good. Like as you could see when they played.
Yeah.
They went like, I think did they win the IEM or did they go to the finals?
They lost the final to Cloud9.
Oh,
But they
yeah.
beat TSM in the great, first BO3 there with all the different
But
picks.
Kikis was a beast. I was like mediocre. Like going into the relegation tournament, I practiced one champ. Like I went into a relegation match, best of 5, practicing one champ. That was Jarvan. So with Millennium. And what happened was they banned Jarvan the first 2 games. So I couldn't play anything else. And then when we picked Poppy, they started banning Poppy instead of Jarvan. So I could actually play Jarvan and I started doing work. But yeah, I was not that good, I think, back then.
All right, so that was fair enough. And then after you get kicked from Unicorns, it's a lot of different challenger teams.
Oh, yeah.
You're kind of moving around. You were on G2.
The legendary Melon Cats.
The Melon Cats, of course, which where you guys had to end up forfeiting.
Fluxish.
And then, Flag just got banned, obviously. And then there was Gamers 2, as they were called back then. Sorry, Ocelot. Where you actually got to play with the original lineup before Perks joined.
Yeah.
Because Perks came in for Summer Split.
Yeah.
And then when he joined, you got kicked.
Oh, that didn't work.
No, didn't work.
Perks was really toxic back then.
Okay, so you and Perks didn't click.
No. Didn't
And
work.
you ended up leaving the team like week 2.
Yeah.
And then from there on, the next time we saw you were on Unicorns of Love again. Just in the LCS.
Basically, Kikis left and went to G2, and I went to Unicorns. Just swapped.
Little swap right there. And it's a lot of swapping around different challenger teams, so it becomes a bit of a mess. But then the big thing, Gilius finally gets into the LCS for real. It's on Elements. 2016. And then later that became Schalke, obviously for Summer Split, and you were in LCS there for the full year. Funny enough, back then, I remember the confidence, but wasn't that much of trash talking going on.
Yeah, that's a good question. So when did the confidence start as we kind of go through your career? When do you feel like you really became a good player, or when you really recognized it, and when you started to feel good enough about it that you were willing to tweet it out publicly?
I mean, I've always been really confident, and I always thought I'm the best. Like even when Unicorns replaced me for Kikis back then, I thought I'm much better than Kikis, even though I only played one champion.
But you can admit now that like he was better than you. So
So in the moment.
Okay, that's
in
cool.
the moment,
I
I thought so.
I respect that.
But like honestly, my confidence came after Worlds. I went back home, and after getting destroyed by like Insec and all of these junglers, I realized I have to learn Rengar, I have to learn Lee Sin, I have to learn a lot of champions if I want to be good. And then I just sat home all day, practiced my ass off. Like 1 year straight, I just practiced really hard, went like rank 1 in EU Challenger. And then I think I started to become a bit cocky, I would say.
I like it.
So basically, Element Schalke. Of course, everyone was hyped about the Schalke thing because football club came in.
It's gonna be hype.
Oh, that was pretty cool, yeah.
They got this lineup, sadly, that on paper was not very strong. Do you remember the actual lineup?
Yeah, I mean, the Elements lineup, how it came together was, I think they wanted to sell their spot, Elements, and then they failed to, so they had to make a last-minute roster. So they just got like solo queue players together.
And it was you and
Aika, Sprattel, Steve, Rales.
Yes, that was it.
Yeah, we were like really insane in scrims, I think. Like individually, we had a lot of skill, but then on stage, we were not.
I remember Aika dying a lot.
Aika died a lot on stage.
That's
true.
Yeah, he was so nervous, man.
Yeah.
I actually felt bad for him.
And then it turned into Schalke because they actually managed to sell.
Yeah, and then we picked up Fox for mid lane.
Yeah, and then that Schalke lineup, there's a little bit of hype around it, but it wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
I remember being like very nervous, but I was like, ooh, that lineup is not going to do well for Schalke. And then you guys ended up going to relegation as well.
But that was such a disaster, man.
It went down.
I mean, we thought we would like finish top 3. We were like stomping people in scrims. I mean, top teams were scrimming us and they had no chance against us. We were like fucking 6-0ing like top teams back then. And then, yeah, I don't know what happened.
But do you think, like, is this because, like, shot calling on stage was bad? Nerves on stage?
No, I think people started to lose motivation. Like, we almost made playoffs. And then when we couldn't make playoffs anymore, people stopped trying and just didn't play anymore. And then they didn't realize that this will actually
get you
get us relegated.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And Schalke ends up getting relegated, even though I remember the last game, the last promo match, which went all 5 games.
No.
Oh, 4 games. It went 4 games.
4 games, yeah.
You guys lost 3-1. I remember you popped off on Lee Sin. In the one game, you guys managed to win.
Yeah.
Where it was like, oh my God, God Gilius,
God Gilius
is doing it. And then...
I remember shitposting about that. That was a good time.
And then the next game, you guys lost. And it was over. Because you were down 2-0. You picked Lee Sin. Went crazy.
Well, Lee Sin was pretty bad back then. Don't know why I played Lee.
You did to carry, man.
Yeah, but we were in such a bad slump. Like, I had to do stuff, otherwise the game was lost. And the enemy team was not bad. They had Alfari, Hans, Igna, Selfie, and Wisdom was pretty good too.
Yeah, Wisdom was not bad.
That was the old Misfits Academy team.
So let's get to the modern era, I think, a little bit. We know Giants and the qualifications. We know you played in NA, but I think we can keep talking about the little things. But I think let's talk a little bit about Vitality to kind of round out this section. Here we are, modern day Vitality. You guys absolutely smash. Davishio mentioned this earlier. The haters, everybody that stood in your path, you crushed them.
Oh, yeah. Everyone got destroyed.
For 4 weeks of LCS, and then it got a little rocky. And we talked to Yamato, in the first weeks when you guys were on the winning streak about like how a single win wouldn't affect you guys, wouldn't affect your team, wouldn't affect you. Do you feel hit at all in terms of confidence now that you guys you're admittedly still pretty close to the top of the LCS, but now that you're starting to lose more frequently?
Not really. I think when we lose, it's really easy things to fix. And in best of 5s, we would not make the mistakes we're making. So it's not worrying me at all. Okay. But I'm a bit upset about our standings right now. That we are not secured second or can fight for first.
Yeah, because you guys had it all, it was in your hands.
We were 7-1. It was all set up. And then the match against Fnatic last week, that was it. If we beat them, we would be even in standings and win the head-to-head with them.
You got it right there, the standings.
Oh, yeah, the standings. Yeah, basically, I don't think our confidence is hit at all. And if we actually 2-0 this week, we are secured second place.
If Splice 2... Okay, you play Splice.
We play Splice. So and we play G2, so...
But yeah, and you will have a 2-0 head-to-head against Splice, so that's good then. It's a 2-0 Vitality. It's a tough schedule you got for the last week, G2 and Splice, especially with the way Splice are playing at the moment.
Yeah.
G2 you can definitely beat, because that team has gone downhill pretty fast.
I think Splice is stylistically not good against us. I think we match pretty well against them.
Well, what is the Vitality style now? Because, I go in the mindset of, I like Vitality's early game a lot. Gilius and Jizuke, great combo, getting ahead in the early game, and then those two guys together can actually, get Quickshot on a carry rolling, and you have 3 super strong team members, and Mini Truebacks and Jax Rollers kind of have to play a little bit supportive in the start, at least in some of the games. And then when you guys go on this losing streak, and also with the loss against Rocket last week, I started really questioning, okay, Vitality... Is the early game where the focus is at? Is that what they're trying to play for? Or is it more? Because then you guys try to draft some scaling comms, and those comms never really look too good for you guys. So what is the Vitality style?
I would say we have extremely good mid laner and a very solid bot lane, which is I don't know how to say it. I mean, our mid laner usually gets a lead, and then we snowball from that. And we draft really strong fighting comps, and then we are really good at playing the mid game, macro-wise. And I mean, versus Splice, I just know that we will always win because whenever we face Kazing with the bot lane I have right now, Kazing always got crushed. I think Jack Troll is just... His champion pool is just extremely good against Kazing, I would say.
Right. Things like Thresh and so on against squishy supports.
And then... I mean, Niski is really outmatched by Jizuka also. So.
See, at the start of the season, I would have said 100%. But I take credit to Niski. He has been getting better. But I do agree that it does feel like a Jizuke favored matchup. Although, for me, it's hard to 100% say that because, I mean, we saw double Echo picks, and the Echo looked pretty good, but it didn't really look like a champion that he would absolutely stomp lane on. It looked like it required a lot more support to get rolling. And sure, once it got started, it was good, but I wonder if this is going to be as easy of a matchup for Jizuke as a lot of people might expect it to be.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I sometimes wonder if you guys hurt yourself a little bit in the draft by focusing too much on counter picking. Because I get the Echo pick against Azir. It makes a lot of sense. And then you draft it. I mean, I'm just thinking about the Rocket game specifically here. Like, you guys try and draft the Janna pick into the Morgana. You guys have the Echo into the Azir. And then you have Cabochard and Camille top. So, like, in a lot of ways, a really good 1-3-1 comp that if you guys get ahead in the early game, can just completely take over the map. But obviously, the risk is if you ever fall behind, there's very few comeback mechanics.
Well, if the bot lane, like our bot lane, loses that hard, then
it's over. Right?
Then it's over.
But I guess no matter what kind of comp you draft in that case,
because we got first blooded and then level 2 ganked, so they had like a Caitlyn Morgana lane perma shoving, and then you can't really take the tempo back in a game like that. We have to basically just play on the opposite side of the map. Which I didn't do. I played on my weak side, and I died at our blue buff. So, I mean, that game was winnable, you know, but the early start made it a lot harder. Yeah.
All right, so you're still confident, as you should be, in Vitality going into playoffs? Because that's the Vitality playoff thing is a very interesting topic. A lot of people, when they see a new team win a lot of games in a row, they're like, will never last in best of 5. It's only good in best of 1. They just rely on one style only. Yamato kind of had a lot of stuff to say about that one specifically, also on Twitter, about like, you guys are drafting the most diverse compositions. You guys have like a lot of tools that you haven't even shown yet, these kind of things. So when you look at Vitality in a best of 5, what do you think are going to be your main strengths?
I think every single player has a huge champion pool, which like means that you can't really, like, if we leave a pick, let's say mid lane or AD carry or jungle after pinch, then you can't really pinch us out because our champion pools are too big. So that is like, we will always have a draft advantage in best of 5s. And I don't know, like if I faced our team, I would not know what to ban, you know. We have a lot of different comps ready and big champion pools. So yeah, I think in best of 5s we will just be able to adapt really easily into every single coming game, and the enemy team will struggle in drafts, I think.
Do you feel like you guys are prepared for like the mental strain of that? Because we've never seen your team. I mean, your team is always, people call you an emotional team because you have so many confident players, right? Yeah. But we just haven't seen you really in a best of 5 circumstance where you've been really challenged, at least in LCS, although I know you guys have plenty of best of 5 experience outside of LCS. Do you feel like there's any concerns that if you lose, let's say badly, and a plan like blows up in your face, that you guys are going to struggle to like come back with clear heads going into the next game?
I don't think so. I mean, we had this test against Schalke where the best of 5 that decided who makes LCS. And we dropped the game 1, like we got stomped game 1, and then we came back and went ahead 2-1 in the series. So it's not really worrying for me, no.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, their track record is there in best of 5s, you know,
absolutely.
Bouncing back from losses. So I think that's fair. I'm more interested in the big champion pool one, because I think one thing is having prepared 10 different picks per player. Another thing is actually putting them together in a composition that is possible to play on stage, or relying on the correct people, because I think you guys have struggled when Jizuke did not get ahead. That has been the biggest weakness of Vitality. And the big losing streak you guys were on, a lot of it was like mid. I remember the week where you gave Galio away twice and you couldn't gank mid lane properly, and Jizuki never got hit, and then you tried to go side lanes instead, and Galio just like came and smacked you in the face.
Galio's pretty unbalanced, right?
I mean, he is, of course, he is. But these kind of things where we have seen issues, and I just want to see going into playoffs if it's gonna be, you know, evenly spread, where Trupex carries one game and then Quickshot takes over the other one, and then Jizuki gets the rest, or if it's always going to be about the mid lane.
Yeah, just as the last thing, like you've talked about it. We talked about how mid focused this team is. Do you feel like there is the potential for Cabo to carry one game, for Mini Trupex to carry one game, if let's say Jizuki can't get that lane phase where you guys know he can snowball?
I think we have seen Mini Trupex carry games in the last
Jinx
weeks.
one.
Yeah, and then even when he's on Caitlyn, he looks really good, like carrying really hard. I mean, Quickshot could really carry if the meta was carry oriented. He's extremely good on the carry meta, but right now it's looking like the tank city. So
last question then, and move away from Vitality as a team and playoffs and all that kind of stuff, and just more on you specifically. What is your actual role on Vitality? Because from the outside, you seem a little bit like the leader, but at the same time, I don't know if that's actually how it is and if it's just all evenly spread out.
I would say like I lead our communication in game and like planning ahead what has to be done, and like the early game is on me basically, like the plans we do. But like I would not call myself a leader. I would call Yamato the leader of the team. He's the coach. He's the guy everyone looks up to, and I'm just a jungler, man. I mean, in the last year, I would call myself a leader on Giants and on United, because we had like coaching staff with low experience and players with low experience. So I had to like step up and do more than I should do. But right now, I think I just have to communicate well, make good plans, and just jungle. Yeah.
I like that, though.
I was hoping you'd just be like, yeah, it's my team.
I mean, that's I think what we're learning is you're a lot more humble and reserved than I think a lot of people would have expected. Because I think everyone expects for your like the Twitter confidence that shows in some of the tweets to be like you all the time. Like you walk into every room like, what's up? I'm in charge now. This is we're eating
how
breakfast.
we do it.
This is how we eat breakfast in my house.
If I miss a smite, it's your fault, not my fault.
Yeah.
Not happening though.
Interesting. It's interesting. I mean, it's good to see that you're honest about like the team and the team where the team's at and like some of the weaknesses that potentially could occur, some of your own personal failings in the past. I think a lot of people will be surprised by that. All right, we've talked a lot about Vitality. Now let's talk a little bit about playoff predictions. Normally save this for later in the show. We'll do it a little bit earlier because I think it's the topic that's hot on our minds at the moment. And as always, it gets pretty difficult. Current standings as a reminder: Fnatic locked in first at 12-4, Splice 10-6, G2 Esports 9-7, Vitality 9-7, Schalke 7-9, Giants 7-9, Misfits 7-9, Roccat 7-9, and then we have two 6-10 teams, which are H2Q Gaming and Unicorns of Love. So very tight standings at the moment. And a refresher: last week we had Yankos on, and Yankos and Efficio put off some playoff predictions. So there's a lot of lists.
Luckily, we put up two different ones.
They put up
Yankos is hot garbage.
Yankos was hot garbage. It is quite wrong.
What did he say?
So I'll run through. Yankos put Fnatic first, fair. G2 second, looking dicey. Misfits third. Vitality fourth. Splice fifth, and Giants sixth.
What? Giants sixth?
But to be fair, Efficio's includes one in
Mine's
Fnatic,
like spot on.
Fnatic, Splice, G2, Vitality, Misfits,
Yeah.
Unicorns of Love.
Okay,
Oh my
unicorns
God.
maybe a little bit.
Okay, and so
but the other five.
If
the
you,
unicorns.
Splice second place, baby.
if you can't keep up with all the lists I just spammed at you while you're listening to the podcast, don't worry. We're going to make a new top six. We're going to make a new, this is the final playoff prediction of the EUphoria podcast.
And before we start, I need to ask you guys for some advice here, because I really want to humble brag my Splice prediction a lot. Because I called second place for them even a week before.
Okay.
I predicted that G2 would go down.
You're not asking for advice.
And it
This
happened.
is the humble brag.
So please,
this is the humble brag.
please tell me, and all the viewers, please also tweet at me and tell me how can I humble brag this prediction without sounding like a complete asshole.
Well, I can't believe that you predicted this.
Can you not?
No, I can't.
But how? I've been Spice second place, man.
Literally, Gilius, don't be surprised. He literally just
I
throws.
just don't know how to.
He
tweet
literally
it.
the people who made the title Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have the same creative process as he does, which is they put on a blindfold and they throw things at a dartboard.
See, I agree with some of the earlier predictions for that one, but not the Spice G2 one. Not that one. Actually, okay.
I mean, I can't even believe they are second place. Like, they are actually second. Like, they don't hit me as a top team, so.
They've gotten a lot better.
They definitely benefited from Vitality starting to suck a lot.
Yeah.
That went in their favor.
For sure.
Same for G2, I guess.
Splice is good at, like, just beating lower teams. They're just consistent. They're not like misfits that drop games to
That's true.
Yeah.
lower teams. Like, Splice takes all the free wins.
So let's talk a little bit. I mean, Fnatic first. We can start there.
That's locked.
Easy. It's
Yeah,
locked.
that's locked.
If you want to pick something else, sorry, you're wrong. It's not how it works. Second place, though, Splice currently 10-6, currently hold sole possession of second place. Do they remain there? Now, as a reminder, their schedule, they play Vitality and Giants this week. So,
I'm going to say Splice will 2-0 this week.
Wow.
And therefore, they will lock second place.
Okay.
Gilius, one of those teams they're going to 2-0 is you. So I imagine you might have a slightly different opinion.
Yeah, I think we will stomp them, actually. Like, I think they will probably go 1-1. We will go 2-0. We will be the same score as them and then win the head-to-head. Because we beat them before
Yeah, I
already.
mean, you crushed them last time. That was the Ziggs bottom lane. You guys
Oh, yeah, but that works once.
blitzed through them.
We haven't seen the Ziggs bot lane. That was when when Spice's early game sucked. Now it's gotten a lot better.
I mean,
Like, Xerxes is a lot more active in the early game. They play strong 2v2 bottom lanes. Odoamne doesn't hard int up in top lane in the early game. Like, a lot of good things has changed.
Steps in the right direction, one could
Definitely
say.
steps in the right direction. So I don't think Spice is going to get stomped in the early game. I think this will go probably towards the late game. And then I favor Spice personally in that matchup. But on mine, I put Spice second. Gilius, on yours, you put Vitality second.
I put Vitality second, yeah.
Okay, so we got two different lists being set up right there already. Third place then on the prediction list.
Actually, I feel bad for the third place team because they have to face the sixth place, which is going to be Schalke or like it's going to be a strong team.
Okay.
So
you'd rather actually get 4 or 5?
probably, yeah. 4th or 5th is better, I would say. Yeah.
All right, that's interesting.
Wait, did we lock in Spice for second? Did you get him to agree?
We did two different ones.
Oh, okay.
Because we will never agree on second place.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, good. Then I have to write stuff down.
Yes,
That's
you
fine.
do,
That's
Dracos.
fine.
So we have Fnatic first, Spice on mine, Vitality on Gilius for second place. Third place on your list, Gilius. Surely you're looking at Spice then.
Splice, yeah. Because they face Giants, yeah.
Well, does that mean you're going to put Vitality there? Are we going to have a nice little trade here, Martin?
G2's schedule, because they're the other ones we could put second place at the third place at the moment. They play Unicorns of Love and they play Vitality.
Yeah.
So if Vitality goes 0-2, obviously then G2 gets my third place. But with the way G2 are playing at the moment, where they can't rely on champions like GP anymore. The bot lane is a giant weakness for them. And Perks feels like he needs to try and solo carry, which has made him actually play worse. It is hard to trust in G2 Esports in the current state. And I say Vitality beats them.
Yeah.
Meaning Vitality gets a 1-1 week. And what's your head-to-head against G2?
Yeah, we lost to them, so it would be
So that would be a 1-1.
Would be a tiebreaker.
We're actually probably going to get a tiebreaker between G2 and Vitality.
I mean,
then.
if we lost to Splice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But regardless of where you position them.
All right,
at
I
the
put
moment-
Vitality third on mine.
Okay, cool.
I
But
put
let's...
G2 fourth.
Gilius, would you agree with G2 fourth?
G2 4th, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you guys are matched there, but I'm curious, Gilius, we didn't get to hear your perspective on the whole G2 falling
Problem,
apart
yeah.
thing. I think the immediate visual issue from last week was Perks overstepping, but I also think there's a lot of criticism being levied at their bot lane. Some say Wonder's just not as good now that he doesn't have Gangplank. What stands out to you? What do you think's going wrong
Actually,
for this team?
the Gangplank point is pretty accurate.
Thank you, mate.
Gangplank got nerfed. Big nerf to G2. they were like first picking GP. They didn't care about anything.
He won every lane with it.
Yeah, and then I mean he won lane and he gets more gold.
Yep,
so
and then he could actually carry lane.
Yeah.
So it was a really good setup.
3k gold leads off the back of Kleptomancy.
And then their bot lane, they always had issues in the bot lane. Doesn't seem too fixed. I mean, Hyanan has to hope for like a severe meta coming in. Like his Varus doesn't look too clean. And then I don't know. Junkos and Perks, I think when pressure is on them, they play much worse. When people count them out, like people will count them out this week, they will probably play better. But under pressure, I think they don't play that well.
Well, that means in our current list,
you guys have the same 4 teams in your top 4.
Yes, I feel like most people will have those 4 teams. Also, because there's 2 wins from Vitality and G2 who are 9 and 7 down to everyone else.
Yeah. Not as a ooh, that's surprising. As a ooh, now when we talk about 5 and 6, you guys are at least polling from the same pool.
Now
it gets spicy. Yeah.
So as a reminder, 5th place, Schalke, Giants, Misfits, Roccat. Tied for 9th place, H2K Gaming and Unicorns of Love. So
I will start with Misfits. Their schedule is Roccat and Unicorns of Love. So on paper, 2 of the teams down near them in the bottom. They're not playing any of the top 4 teams. That being said, Misfits have lost more games to the bottom teams this split than they have won, which is why they're now among the bottom teams, because that's how it works. That's why, even with this schedule, and I feel like this roster, like talent-wise, and with Hussein Mousvi, the coach, they should be better than those teams. It's best of 1. It's clearly not in their favor. Their late game is still a giant problem, either in terms of actual team fighting, because they draft these mid-game comps, or just in terms of just pure misplays, and now poor shot calling as well. So I normally would say 5th place Misfits Gaming, but I'm not confident.
Yeah, I'm not confident either. Okay. I mean, what's crazy about Misfits is they have 7 wins, and 2 are against us, and 2 are against Fnatic.
It's
like, imagine.
It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. And they dropped so many games to lower teams. Like,
so who do you think could get that 5th place?
I mean, it should be Schalke and Misfits, like either one of them. I don't know. What's the head-to-head? Schalke with Misfits?
That's a good question. I will work on that.
Because Schalke just played them, didn't they?
Wait, Misfits, it's 1-1.
Yeah.
Because Boris... Because Boris played.
Oh, that was the one.
So I think we could see a tiebreaker actually for 5th place between these 2. And then there's a pretty good chance that Roccat also climbs into one of these spots. Maybe it's gonna be Schalke and Roccat, because Rocket's schedule is pretty easy, right?
Roccat play Misfits and H2K.
Oh, so they have their... I mean, they have it in their own hands.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like almost all these teams
Schalke
have it.
also put H2K. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna say, so it hurts a lot that H2K obviously had so many losses from earlier.
Yeah.
But their schedule being them facing Schalke and them facing against Roccat is like, if you win those 2 games as H2K, you beat 2 teams just around you, and that should be enough to actually move them into at least a tiebreaker.
Oh.
So I think H2K. At the moment, are in an okay spot, despite having 10 losses, which should not then qualify you for playoffs.
So Unicorns and H2K actually have a chance to make
they
it.
Do
so
have
they
a
will
chance.
Try hard, really.
Yeah, but Unicorns play G2 and Misfits, so...
Okay, Unicorns...
yeah, slightly harder schedule.
Probably H2K has maybe a chance, yeah.
But we have to remember G2 who have lost every game they played the last 2 weeks except for 1, which was against Giants, which effectively was a loss.
I think there's an argument for literally every single team on this list.
There is. That's why
we talk about this all the time in Best of 1, because every week a team will either be double as good as they were the week before, or like a quarter good. Like, they'll either instantly nosedive or just suddenly skyrocket out of nowhere in terms of actual performance.
Yeah.
So who do you actually think is going to take it? Because I think we can go through. We're gonna end up at this point going through every single team. You're gonna tell me why they could make it or why they couldn't.
All right, Gilius.
For me, it's Schalke and Misfits.
That order?
Well, it's going to be tiebreaker, right? Schalke will probably win the tiebreaker. Yeah, okay. Schalke Misfits.
Schalke number 5. I think that that's the safer one, also based on name value. I doubt it's gonna happen. I don't put them in for me.
That
yet.
would be stacked playoffs, man.
It would be very stacked.
Holy moly.
Because Schalke play Fnatic on the last day, which scares me a lot. Because even if Fnatic are not 100% tryhard, as long as the game matters, I think they're gonna take it serious.
Okay.
Also knowing Youngbuck, he's not the kind of guy to just be like, yeah, you guys just troll around, have fun. Because they're probably playing Whippo, and that could be super valuable practice before playoffs for him specifically. Also, it is on 8.5, which is the new patch, which is also the playoff patch.
That's a fatty patch.
So it's a new patch. It's gonna be the playoff patch. You might as well get the most out of it on stage.
For sure.
So I think Schalke gets 1-1 this week, but that requires them to beat H2K. I'm actually gonna say I can't believe I'm saying Rocket here, but I think Rocket gets number 6 for me. I hate it. I'm saying it. Vedi's gonna be so.
A reminder: Rocket's schedule is Misfits and H2K.
Yes, and no. You know what?
I'm typing it in right now.
Delete it. Give me Misfits H2K.
Misfits H2K.
Holy.
Okay, all right. Justify the H2K one real quick. The Misfits one, no one's surprised.
So H2K plays Schalke and they play against Rocket. I predict a 2-0 week for H2K.
That'll be crazy.
Sheriff is gonna be the main person to look at. We highlight him a lot now, but when these guys get to late game, as long as they don't fully get destroyed early game, which Schalke will not do. Schalke is not a team who destroys you in the early game. It gets to late game, and I think H2K teamfight really well with Sheriff and with Selfie. So I don't think Schalke is the kind of team to do what happened to them last week, where they just get bullied early.
And look, to be fair here, H2K are only 0-2 in head-to-head against Splice and Unicorns of Love. Two teams that are probably not going to be contesting them. They're actually 1-1 against Giants. They're 1-1 against Misfits. They're 1-1 against Vitality. If they beat Schalke, they'll be 1-1-2. So even they're going to force some tiebreakers here.
There you go.
Even though they're down a win, they can force a lot of tiebreakers.
That's my gamble on that one. I think Misfits will get at least one win as well and get a tiebreaker, as you highlighted, Gilius.
Best of one tiebreaker deciding who makes playoffs.
I know, it's going to be rough. All right, I'm gambling on the H2K one.
Recap, those are the final playoff predictions for EUphoria. Here they are. Gilius, Fnatic in first place, Vitality second, Splice third, G2 fourth, Schalke fifth, and Misfits sixth. Deficio has Fnatic first, Splice second, Vitality third, G2 fourth, Misfits fifth, and H2K sixth, which would mean a Vitality H2K quarterfinal. That is something I am excited for.
Hey, there you go.
Holy. That sounds pretty free to me.
Yeah, you can be excited about those predictions. Now you're kind of hoping Deficio's right. All right, that does it for the playoff predictions, folks. We're going to see who's right this coming week. All right, our last topic of the day is going to be MVP voting. Of course, voting is happening right now, so we are going to make our own little list for EUphoria. This will not affect the main vote. This one's just for fun. Although Deficio and I are in the process of voting, Gilius and the members of Vitality are going to get a vote too. So
we want to watch week 9 before we.
I think we want to watch week 9. But right now we're going to be looking. So we're not going to do all 3 All-Pro teams. We're going to be doing the number 1 All-Pro team, Rookie of the Split, and MVP. We will not be doing Coach of the Split. So. Do we want to start with the All-Pro team? Do we want to start with Rookie?
Let's start with the easy one, Rookie of the Split. Because we all know who our favorite is going to be for that one.
And I think we have to acknowledge some of the others, but do you want to say it?
Jizuke.
Jizuke gets
Rookie of the Split.
For me as well. Now, I think there are some cool runner-ups. We have had a really good set of rookies this split.
Yeah.
Actually. So, fun fact, last split when we voted, we had like 3 names we could pick from. There was Pride Stalker, Yuki, and then Dreams I think it was. Oh, and Cosq, but he obviously... Cosq, but no one voted for Cosq. So those were the 4 rookies we could pick from. Not
a great rookie class.
Pride basically just got it. That was it.
Right, he got it, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he earned it at the end.
He earned
for
it.
Sure. But it definitely was not Jizuke. Because now we have, we have Jizuke, we have Sheriff, we have Norskaren.
I mean, Jack's Roll many true packs. Like, there are so many different rookies to pick from.
Upset.
Upset is in there. So, there's Ruin from Giants Tagamas.
Whippo
for the 1 game.
Technically, if he plays 2 more games, he will be eligible.
Oh, he will be eligible.
You have to play 3 games to be eligible.
Now, we have Jizuke. I think that's the go-to one for a lot of people. And Now, obviously, I understand that some people kind of look at the last few weeks and feel like he's not as flashy as he was maybe in the start. He doesn't hard carry as much as before. But we got to remember, first of all, this is the entire split we're looking at.
Yeah, remember the Vitality was 7-1.
Yeah. And he
was literally trashing the current number 1 place team in 2v1s as Rise. Like,
it was
as a rookie. And he was laughing on stage about it. Like, people forget that so quickly.
After around week 2, people already said, yeah, Jizuke gets rookie of the split. There we go. Let's just move on, because that performance was absolutely insane. And I still think now, like, he's still the main carrier on your team. He's still performing at a high level, but he's just not... Like, he can't do the same because first, he never gets to play Rise again.
Yeah,
because that just gets removed from him.
Again, yeah.
So he can't actually do the same things we have already seen from him early in the split. But I want to mention my runner-up for this one, which is Noskaran, who I think has been the most consistent player on Rocket all split long. I think he's actually been one of the most consistent players in the league. I think he's shown he can play different styles as well. We had the Morgana one last time, so he's played like the range supports. He's played a lot of Braum in the start and was really good in team fights. And I generally just think Noskaran he's been good.
Yeah, he's been really good actually.
And that was good to see from a player who obviously was on the original Schalke lineup that qualified, but then got replaced.
And wasn't a super hype player in Challenger, I don't think. It may have just gone unappreciated.
Yeah, people didn't talk that much about Noskaran.
But I think you see him a lot more on stage.
Yeah.
I think he has been a really solid force for that team.
Sure.
Is there any other rookie you want to highlight who could be in the running?
But yeah, not really. I mean, Jizuke and then Mini Trupax, for me, also really good player. Obviously, he's my teammate, but I think Mini Trupax has a big impact on the team as well for our success. And then, yeah, Noskaran for sure. Like, it's... he deserves to be mentioned. He has been a very underrated player, I feel, this year, and he's doing really great.
What about Sheriff?
I don't rate Sheriff that highly, but when he pops off on Kog'Maw, I was pretty impressed. And then Kalista fell out of meta. That was like Sheriff's champion, so I think that hurt him a little bit. I think he's decent. As a AD carry, you need a good team around you, so it's a bit unlucky for him.
Nice little burn. All right. So we get Jizuke in there.
Jizuke for sure. There are some runners up. Of course, when you vote, you get to vote for your top 3. So Jizuke, Noskaran, and people can pick their third. Do we want to go straight to MVP, or should we start with All Pro? Although I think people might have a pretty accurate guess of who our MVP candidates are.
MVP is pretty easy.
I mean, Gilius is right there as MVP. Of course.
Let's do All Pro team. We'll round it out with MVP. We'll save it for the end.
So I'll start by saying that I've been looking at my personal All Pro. I find it pretty difficult this split to fully decide which 3 players will get it. This is just a rough draft I have myself made that will change a lot, I think. And it's hard in a good way, because there are 2 ways it can be difficult to make All Pros. There's the one where you feel like there's a lot of good names, and it's kind of hard to fully figure out who's actually the best and who deserves second and third, and then you gotta value an impact and the entire split. So this is one of those where I feel like there's a lot of good names to pick from in a lot of positions, where it becomes a little bit difficult, which is better than the other one, which is, oh my god, I feel like there's only one good player in this role and everyone else kind of sucked, and I don't know who to pick for second and third now because no one is good. Luckily, that's not the case, I feel, for this split. It is actually a lot of good names in there, which is exciting. Top lane, though, I would like to propose Wonder as our first All-Pro top laner.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are going to have to convince me on that one. Wonder. I remember the GP, but he literally sat and farmed 30 minutes every game and then came in and had 2 barrels.
That's what you have to do on GP, man.
Oh, man. It just doesn't... Is there anyone else? Can we get anyone else on the list? Like, I mean, I'm not going to say Otawamne. I think he might deserve a spot on the list because he's been so good for the last 5 weeks, but the first 3 were a little inty.
Soaz for sure.
Soaz is a good one.
Yeah.
I like Soaz is up there.
Yeah, Soaz, it's always hard with Fnatic because I feel like a lot of players look even better because they're on a team that is winning a lot, and especially a team with Reckless and Caps. So that means as long as you go to late game and you effectively stand in front of them, they will kill people and win you fights, and then the entire team looks good. The reason I have Wonder personally is I feel like he's kind of fixed a lot of the weaknesses he had in the past, where he almost never like overextends and gets ganked anymore. He wins almost every laning phase he plays just based of like his mechanics and his knowledge of how to play it. I think his team fighting has gotten a lot better, which was a problem in the past. He's diverse his champion pool. That's both carries and tanks in it now. And the last one for me is, now that G2 are struggling, I actually still feel like he's keeping a pretty high level, where he's not the one who like suddenly loses lane really hard or makes big mistakes or anything. So
he's very consistent.
He's super consistent, and I feel like he deserves it. Gilius, do you have anyone else you think could challenge him? Other than, so you mentioned Soaz.
I think Soaz would be my number one, I think.
Reasons?
He's just... I think he's also very consistent. I think the meta has fit him really well. The entire split, like it started with GP, and then all the tanks, Cho'Gath, Maokai, it fits him really well. I think he played really, really good the split. So
I agree. I think Soaz has been very good. If we had to lock down a number one, you can be the tiebreaker here.
It's my perennial job.
So Soaz, Wonder.
I'm actually gonna go Soaz. Because I feel like, no offense to Wonder, I feel like Wonder has been playing great, and if he is a very close second. But the reason I want to go Soaz is I feel like there's been multiple Fnatic games where it has been clear that Soaz has carried. Even on like there's a couple games where those Maokai ultimates and initiations were clutch, the TP flanks were clutch, and yes, I see Wonder does the damage, and a lot of those games where G2's backs were against the wall, he had a gangplank ult into a barrel. But for me, like, there's something more impressive to me about like playing a tank champion, suffering through laning phase, and then coming back and being massively impactful. Maybe it's just a personal bias against GP as a champion.
But I think Wunder will in the end be voted though. I think Soaz should be number one, but Wunder will be voted because top laners vote. So, and people respect Wunder in the one-on-one more.
For sure.
And...
I mean, that's a good point. I don't know. I hate being the tiebreaker in this situation.
I mean, you are the tiebreaker, or we make two different lists.
All right, we're doing Wonder then. That's fair.
So only top laners vote, and that's the decider, or how does it work?
No.
There's a big pool of votes.
Yeah, it is. So all players get together and they vote from each team. The coaches vote on their own.
Okay.
Then all the casters vote on their own. Then we have third-party media. They all send in a vote per media. Then we have broadcast partners, so the Spanish stream and the French stream and these kind of different streams. They also vote. And then I think that's it. And then everything gets tallied together. And then you see who comes out on top.
Then it will be Soaz.
You think so? Yeah. I think most people are going to vote for Wonder.
Well, we put Wonder.
Well, popularity. Look.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people will look at... I mean, first of all, they look at his stats, which are completely insane. And that's going to sway a lot of people's opinion.
Will people look at stats?
Probably.
Except you can't filter out Kleptomancy Gold. So
no, I'm not saying it's a good reason. I'm just saying I think a lot of people do that.
Fucking Klepto.
Right.
Yes.
Jungle.
Oh, jungle is a hard one.
That's a tough one. Gilius, you're smiling already.
Well, I would put myself as number one.
Of course you would.
But I think it's pretty unrealistic. Because of the smites that happened and people have a really wrong idea now. I would probably put Xerx in number one. Just consistency-wise.
So why not a name? I think a lot of people will look at names like Maxlor and Jankos and say that they deserve to be further up there. Why Xerxes over either of those guys?
I think Xerxes just performed out of his mind the split. He's just, when he gets the Zac, he makes crazy engages. When he plays Ivern, he looks pretty good too. I don't know. I think he outperformed Maxlor and Jankos for sure the split. The other question is, in best of fives, it would probably look different, right?
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I feel like Cersei in the best of five is a good jungle to have in your team because he's going to bring a lot of different things.
And also, to be fair, I mean, this is just regular season.
Yeah,
as a reminder, there's a lot of people. I love it when they like look back and they go MVP. Like, how could this guy be an MVP? His team lost in quarterfinals or whatever. And it's yes, we voted for regular. It's a regular season award, folks.
So, my initial draft, I put in Jankos, but then I thought more about it, and I was like, I feel like maybe he goes down a little bit on my list. I think Cersei is actually a good choice for first.
Yeah.
Memento is also a name to bring, but I think Memento is more the impact he has on his team more than him necessarily being like way better than a lot of other junglers in the EULCS. But I think Memento has been super good, like super consistent all split long as well.
Memento's on my top 3 for sure. I don't know if he's number 1, but I think the biggest issue with taking junglers from middle of the pack teams is it's like really hard to see to evaluate a jungler honestly when they're losing a lot of games. I think the same is true when they're winning a lot of games, right? So like the reason for me that Broxa, for instance, isn't on my top 3 list despite being on such a successful team is it's like, well, when your lanes win just about every game by themselves or die alone, if in the case of Caps getting camped, it's like it just feels way easier for you to actually play. And there's been so few games where I feel like he's been in a situation where he's like really truly challenged because he has so many all-star players flanking him.
Listen, I like Xerxes.
Yeah,
I think that's a cool pick. I think he's done really well. His Zac is out of this world, which is fantastic. I love his different
Which is
tempo.
important because I mean, if you're competing against Jankos, part of the reason Jankos is on this list is because of so many good Zac performances.
He's stepped up his early game a lot, which has been a big part of why Spice are not as bad in the early game as they were in the start.
Yeah. All right, mid lane.
This one for me is easy. It's Caps.
Caps.
Caps. Yeah.
Best performing mid laner outside of 2 games against Vitality.
He carries so hard, like it's not even
It's insane.
funny anymore.
Yeah, it's actually insane.
That was so easy. I feel like we should. Do we want to acknowledge anyone at Caps?
Okay. So what about Perks? Gilius.
Has not looked that good this split. I mean, he looked when they won. He obviously did a lot, but I think he was also. I mean, in the games they lost, it felt like he didn't really do anything. He just went even on his lane, and it doesn't look like he's anything special right now. But I think in best of 5s he will really shine. But since this is a regular split vote.
Yeah,
I would not put him first.
That's interesting. I think for the first like 6 weeks he looked super good.
He looked good.
I think he was like the main carry on the team, and he did extremely well both laning phase and team fighting wise. So I was very impressed with Perks the first 6 weeks. Sadly, the last 2 weeks, when G2, they don't know which style to play, early game, late game. The shot calling has gone completely downhill. It feels like Perks is, I don't know, either he's slumping or he's like trying to carry, even though he shouldn't. Like, I gave him the dumbest player of the split award in the EULCS with his Corki, where he
oh my god,
where he just packages and valves into Nuke Duck and like.
For me, even if we take out those 2 weeks, Caps is still winning, and
I think I would still put Caps.
Yeah, because the thing is, it's like. I think that Caps has had more. We talk a lot about X Factor, right? But for me, Caps has had more of those high risk plays where it's like been clear he's needed to carry and he's taken those risks. And some of them have totally backfired, right? But a lot of them have worked. And the fact that he's consistently willing to take risks to win his team the game.
I mean, Perks also takes the risks.
Yes, I see that, but I do not see them, 1, them being taken consistently, and 2, them working out. Right? So at a certain point, you just have to acknowledge that maybe your sense of what risks to take are just not correct, or is not correct. And so for me, I like that Caps is a playmaker. I like that he's confident.
The amount of damage he deals.
And he just does so much. His damage sharing on the team with Reckless even is insanely high.
It's the highest for mid laners still.
Yeah.
At least I think so. But
yeah.
Also, Jizuke would be a name to mention here if the first few weeks it kind of continued, but that would be pretty impossible. I feel like
if people stop banning Rise, Jizuke would probably be number 1 here.
Well, some games we lost, Jizuke looked really good though.
Yeah, he did.
That's true.
When we lost was Misfits the first time, where he solo killed Senkooks, and then when we lost to Fnatic 1 week ago, his Azir looked really good.
Yeah, I agree. I think even in losses, Jizuke's look good, which is why for me he's on my top 3. I just can't put him number 1 because Caps is sitting there.
Caps number 1 for sure.
Cool.
All right, Caps locked in.
Next one is even easier.
Carry. Who's it gonna be?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah. Drake has already wrote it.
I wrote it down.
You wrote it already.
Guys.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Hjarnan. Sorry, Hjarnan. I had to throw you under the bus for that joke. It's Reckless.
Yes, it's Reckless.
So I'm just going to list my top 3, and maybe we can talk and you guys can share your top 3. But for me, like, Reckless is up there. I think Hans Sama was really good for a long time, but is not up there currently, and that's why he's in top 3, but not number 1. And then Kabe is the other one for me. And I feel like each of those players have carried their teams at certain points through this split. Just that Reckless has always looked good at pretty much every stage.
No, week 1 and 2.
That's true. Kabe has, in that case, been more consistent, but I think less explosive than Reckless, and that's what gives him the edge. And Hansama has been really good when they were playing around him, really good when he was given Ezreal the first few times, and then the more recent times they've high priority picked Ezreal. Not only has he not looked good, the entire team has fallen apart.
I mean, Reckless is just clear number 1.
Yeah, Reckless, Hans, and the third one is out, I think.
You don't think Kabe is in there?
Kabe, probably third, yeah.
Okay.
But he's also really played around, right?
Of course, yeah. I mean, they set him up to succeed, right?
He's getting the Zillion, Lulu, Jana.
Oh, yeah.
He had some time with it. So that's like the first...
But they're giving it to him because he's carrying
and to be fair, even after that like first 4 weeks where they literally only played scaling, he has been consistent, right? And I
they
think
still rely a lot on him.
True.
He played well.
In fights. I put him second on mine, but Reckless is number 1. Best like laning phase, great team fighting, never afraid anymore to be the one who flashes forward and makes the big play. And you also
that Xayah.
Yeah, and
that was crazy.
Like also one of the plays I remember is his Sivir play in the Misfits, second Misfits loss they have, where he's in his own base defending. It's a 3v5 situation, and he like dodges every engage against him and like kills a guy, and then they manage to defend and stall the game. And then last team fight, he just kind of got taunted by Shin and died. But apart from that one...
Also counterpicked himself into the Anivia as a Sivir.
Still, I think Reckless gets it, but I really think Kabe has been good this split. And he is my number 2.
Yeah. All right, that one felt easy. The last one I think is pretty hard.
That's the toughest one.
Support. And this is one of those ones where I feel like every support... There's some players who stand out in all categories, right? And I think that in Caps and Reckless, we have those players. I think even Xerxes, to a certain degree, we have that. But for support, I feel like there's so many... You actually have to really weigh strength and weaknesses. There's like
It's also really hard to judge supports.
True.
Because like, one thing is judging laning phase, but that's always with an AD carry. And what kind of picks do they get? Because there's a lot about, do you pick for scaling? Do you pick for lane? Then there is judging how well do they team fight? How well do they roam? Are they always the one roaming first to mid and top? And then the last one, which is, again, kind of weird to follow, is like, how's their vision? Do you always feel like they place it at the right place? But is that the support then? Is that the jungler instead saying, hey, let's team up. You put a ward there, you put a ward there. And then we're praising the support. And it's kind of a weird thing to praise the support for sometimes. Just because it doesn't feel, when you watch it, not as big and explosive as this guy wins his laning phase every time. So it's really hard.
Who are you voting for, Patricio?
So I put Mickey because I think he's individually has done well, but I don't feel like it's been enough games where he's like popped off. Because there's been a lot of games where a lot of Misfits members have just kind of been invisible when they lose the first team fight and then they just fall apart, right? But I think the laning phase with him and Hans has been good. I think he's done a good job. But I actually want to change that.
You want to change it? Okay, never mind. Change it then. Change it.
Unless you want.
I was just gonna ask Gilius. We'll get some Gilius opinions.
Because I actually wanted to put Noscaron.
I think Hylissang.
Okay.
But he entered a lot of games.
Yes.
So it's hard to put him there. Noscaron looked good. Kazing looked decent. No, but it's such a hard one. Before you could always go back to Miffy.
Yeah, because default put Miffy.
Yeah, just put Miffy. He's a genius, even if he ends.
Shock calling, it's in there.
But now, or like Yellow Star, but yeah, now it's hard. I would probably just put Hylissang first though.
See, I don't want to put Hylissang first.
Hylissang's on my top 3 for sure. Because he's been, even with a few weeks of inting.
You want to put Noscaron?
Yeah.
Oh.
I want to put Kasing.
Noscaron would be crazy if he was number 1. But there's no way he's getting the number 1, like, voting-wise.
No, I don't think he will, but I think on
Hylissang will probably make it, but...
Yeah, it's so hard with me with Hylissang specifically, because I think he's mechanically good, and yeah, he can make some big plays, but I think for first half of the split, he didn't play that well. I think Reckless last split with Jess is already in playoffs showed insane laning phase. So Hylissang being in there makes it slightly stronger, but I don't think that's because of Hylissang. I think that's just Reckless is just a great AD carry in lane. So it's a good combination. And I think again with Fnatic in team fights, it's just less about the other three players and more about Caps and Reckless with the actual team fight success. And that's Hylissang is possibly the best support, but I struggle to kind of justify it when they have Caps and Reckless next to them.
Okay, so give us your
work.
argument for Norscaren, because I get the Hylissang might not be the best candidate, but if you're gonna come up here and tell me that the Roccat support, the team that's currently in the middle of the pack, is the best performing support in Europe.
So
what you got?
I mean, the support one is tough for me because I feel like he's been probably the most consistent support all split long. I think he's done really well. First half he did really well in team fights, but he got Braum every game, so that obviously helped him. Second half he's kind of had to adapt to different picks. I think his lane phase with Hikyu has actually been pretty solid. I think he understands when to roam and where to be on the map, and he doesn't really get caught out. He doesn't really make like big mistakes. So it's not a Norscaren is the greatest support in the world kind of thing. It's just more, I think he's just been consistently good from the start. Mm-hmm. And I feel like every other support has kind of been flying up and down quite a bit during the split. So it's not I feel awesome about this.
It's not like he's S tier. He's just very, very consistent.
But he doesn't do many mistakes. So
exactly. I just feel like he just does his job and he does it pretty well every game he plays.
I mean, that's kind of good. That's a good thing.
But is it enough to make him the all-pro? Because like Kissing or Hylissang would be more explosive names.
Kissing will get a lot of votes. Yeah.
So my opinion is Kissing, not due to the previous popularity or the fact that people like him. Although he is a likable guy, good laugh. Competing with Jizuke for who can get people kicked out of the bars the fastest by laughing loudly. But so my general impression was that he was pretty consistent in the early season. Now, admittedly, he played pretty boring champions, right? He pretty much played entirely to protect Kabe, but he was there and he did the job reasonably well. He had some great Zilean plays in terms of double bombing. And then recently, with the Rakan plays that we saw last week and the week before, or rather the week before, he has been engaging and he has been the source of kind of a lot of activity. And so that showed me that he can play both a more defensive, support your AD carry style and a more aggressive, engage focus style and be a carry for his team. And I cannot think right now, and please correct me if I'm wrong, of like a game where Kissing played really poorly. And so in the same way that you're arguing that Norscaren is very consistent, I see the same kind of consistency in Kissing, but I also see
one or... lane and phase problems, but that's about it.
Okay, that's fair. So maybe even that, let's say that's the trade-off, is the negative of some lane and phase problems. The positive for me is I've seen some really great engages and some really fantastic plays from Kissing that have like actually won his team games.
Gilius, you get to be the decider here on who we put for support.
So it's between...
Norscaren, Hylissang, Kissing are the three options, unless you want to add in a fourth one.
I will probably just take Hylissang.
You take Hylissang? Okay, you got to convince us, though. You got to give us an argument.
Because he's just really good on melee supports. And I love supports that are good on melees. Like Kazing is definitely better on the E-Girl supports. Lulu Jana. But... And then Norscaren is it's just hard for me to vote for him.
Okay.
He also has like zero pressure on him. Like if you play on Team Rocket...
Yeah.
Like I would put Hylissang first for sure.
All right. You get to decide.
Yeah, I mean, we gave you the vote. Officio gave you the vote. So there it is. Hylissang. So our all-pro team, as we recap, is...
It's too much Fnatic, man.
Wunder, Xerxes, Caps, Reckless. Hylissang, I'll recap it one more time after we decide our MVP. Now, I know you guys maybe you're hoping for a heated MVP debate, but we mentioned earlier that we already have a pretty good idea. I have two candidates that I think we're going to debate between.
Yeah.
And they're on our all-pro team. And they're Caps and Reckless. So, does anyone have anyone to add to the list that is not Caps or Reckless?
Not really.
It's hard. I think Jizuke in terms of impact.
In terms of actually Jizuke is.
I think Perks in terms of impact, but again, the last few weeks have kind of moved him away from the number one spot.
And to be fair, top 3 MVP candidates, I think there are a lot of names you can look at because there are players that have had massive impact on their team and teams that would be like middle of the pack or bottom of the standings without one specific player, right? But in terms of raw impact for a most valuable player, I think you have to look at probably the carry from the number one team. And in this case, the number one team has 2 carries, so...
I mean, if the MVP comes from the first place team, then it makes sense, right?
I mean, sure, it doesn't have to,
right? Because there's a world where your logic is Caps and Reckless share the burden.
Like for me, Perks would have been mine if Gilius had kept up their form but still got in second place.
Yeah.
Perks would have been mine.
Because like if your argument is the most valuable player is like the single player who without that player, right, the team would fall apart. Like there's a world.
Then Perks for sure. Yeah.
And with Jizuki as well,
most
right?
valuable, right?
But that's the problem about MVP. Always is not clearly defined.
Yeah, it's up to people, right? Some people just pick the best player, right? And that's not really how I see it. I see the player that is the most crucial to the team's success.
Because that's the thing. If you pick the best player possible, it's Caps or Reckless in terms of overall performance.
Yep.
But then does it diminish some of their value that they are two great carries on the same team? Like if you remove Reckless, will Fnatic still be a good team and you put in a weaker AD carry?
Oh, no. Yeah, that's... I think I could see them playing with another mid laner.
Okay.
But I could not see them playing with another AD carry.
See,
that's the argument for Reckless. Then.
That's when Reckless then becomes it, because I agree. I could also see you put in a different mid laner and they go back to just only playing around the bot lane. Yeah. A bit like they did last year when Caps had a lot of inconsistent games. And it was just like, okay, Reckless is fed. I guess they're going to win. One of the things about Reckless is also, whenever I talk to pro players, whenever I look at pick and ban phases with pro players, whenever Reckless locks in like 1 out of 3 different AD carries, they're like, oh, this game is over. Reckless got insert AD carry here. He will for sure carry the late game. Xayah, Tristana, these kind of picks. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And I never hear that about any other player. Ever. So this is obviously also a scrim thing and whatever, but I agree if you remove Caps from Fnatic, they do take a hit.
For sure,
not they're not the same kind of team, but you can insert another mid laner who is really good at playing around his side lanes, and this Fnatic team can probably still function pretty well and be still like a top team in Europe. I think if you move Reckless, it gets difficult. So for me, that is why Reckless is the MVP, but I actually think Caps across the entire split has been the best performing Fnatic player.
All right.
But Reckless, did he have bad games?
I think the first 2 weeks were rough.
Yeah, he randomly died on the side lane.
My one moment where I could point it out. My one moment. I was like, oh, look, he died in the side lane overextended. He gave me a good reason, basically being like, he felt like forced to still be the split push on the team because like Caps couldn't do it. And
that was interesting.
And the different team style that was kind of changing took some time. But then after 2 weeks, Caps learned it, and then, everything
all
was
right,
perfect.
there you go. Thank you for defending Reckless, Deficio. So, okay, that sounds like we're pretty committed here. Reckless MVP, Gilius, you cool with that?
Yeah, for sure.
Lock it in.
I don't like the support one.
You don't like Illisan?
I don't think he should be the
all right,
this
is it. You get.
He probably doesn't deserve it.
He doesn't deserve it.
There's no other way. Like
who? No, I mean, it's
I'd rather give it to Kasing.
I would not give it to Kasing.
There you go.
I'd rather give it to Kasing, Noskaran, or Mickey. Not Mickey, no. Kasing or Noskaran.
But Kasing's melee supports, like, it's not like...
But they just counterpick for him every time. He can play range.
Yeah, but that's such a big resource, I think.
All right, that's fair. That's a fair point.
We're sticking with Hylissang. This is a hard discussion.
Eagle supports are not that good. Like his Janna and Lulu. But his Morgana is crazy.
Yeah, his Morgana is of course insane. I agree that Hylissang, like when his team is winning and he can play aggressive, he looks really good.
All right.
But
I'm just a big fanboy.
All right, Gilius gets to decide it.
Yes. He did once, and you're making him do it again.
Yeah,
you're so upset.
It's fine.
This is what happens when you do things as a team.
But let's say you decided. Who would it be? Actually, Kasing or...
Noskaran.
Oh, shut the hell up. All right, all-pro team.
Is he from your country?
No, he's from Norway.
Oh, he's from Norway.
Yeah, I know.
You just love him.
Norscan is great.
You just love
Norscan. Oh, God, dude. Okay, he has a spot on one of the
Fine, I put Gilius support then.
God. All right, all-pro team, guys. This is the final recap before we move on to the last section of the day. It is Wonder in the top lane, Xerxes in the jungle, Caps in the mid lane, Reckless as AD carry, Hylissang as support. Your rookie of the split is Jizuke, and your MVP is Reckless. Now, remember, these aren't official votes by any means. The EUphoria podcast does not get one. We as individuals get to have an impact there.
So you can vote for something else.
This is a fun list. You can change your vote. You don't have to vote for Hylissang. Deficient.
I will vote. Fun fact: I don't hate Hylissang. It sounds like I do. But
You are so you're so concerned today, man. You're so worried about stuff. But that's gonna do it for our list for our All Pro team, our MVP voting. We'll see who the actual one gets it more towards the end of the split. I'm excited to find out.
Probably Gilius.
Gilius. All right, guys, I'm going to be honest. We went a little bit long on the MVP discussion. We had to talk about a lot of stuff. So today's quick fire predictions, or quick shots as we like to call them, are going to be especially quick. As an explanation, I list a matchup from the week. I say go. Each of our guests gets a chance to say what their prediction is. I forgot a pen, so I have no way to mark down what it is, but we're going to do our best to remember. We'll listen back to the audio. Yay. And then as an update, week 2 to 7, Deficio currently 34 out of 40 coming into week 8. He got another 5, so he's at 39 out of 40. Almost 75% accuracy there.
Coming to King, Gilius. Coming to King.
39 out of 50. Not that good.
Insane.
Not that good. Our guess last time was Yankos, and he also got 5 out of 10. So currently 36. So still 3 deficit.
Mainly due to EUphoria being absolute hot garbage.
Yeah, EUphoria absolutely got
But
destroyed.
this is going to be the last one for regular season,
Yes,
which
it
means
is.
that Gilius needs to beat me with at least 3 votes to tie it. Otherwise, I beat the guests.
I'll make the perfect predictions.
There we go.
There you go. All right, guys. Double check I got the right matchups. Are you ready?
And he has to say go, and then we say
All right.
who's going to win.
Splice versus Vitality, go.
Vitality.
Easy. Schalke versus H2K, go.
Schalke.
Misfits
Wait,
versus Rocket.
I mean HK there, because I said HK is going to win the whole thing. H2K.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Sorry.
Got it.
My brain always goes Schalke.
Misfits versus Rocket, go.
Misfits.
Unicorns of Love versus G2, go.
Unicorns of Love.
G2.
Ooh, Giants versus Fnatic, go.
Fnatic. That's easy.
Giants versus Splice.
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 H2K versus Rocket.
H2K.
Rocket.
Unicorns of Love versus Misfits.
Misfits. Oh, God.
G2 versus Vitality.
Vitality.
Ooh, Fnatic versus Schalke.
Fnatic.
You guys have at least 3 different. So in theory, Gilius, you can make up all the differences here. But as is per
I should just said the same as him all the way through, and I would have been safe.
You could have, yes, actually.
That's a boring way to win.
Secure a win that way. That would be called strategy.
There you
God
go.
forbid you use. Okay. So normally we do a wager. Splice versus Vitality seems the best one to wager
Obvious
on.
one.
I believe it is also our match of the week.
All right, Gilius. If Vitality wins, and therefore you win the bet, what do you want me to do?
I want you to tweet out that I'm the best jungler in the world.
Anything else but just the best jungler in the world? Something about how your smites are awesome and
Yeah,
Ooh,
just
that's
like
good.
say
Get in
great
there.
stuff about me. Just like
a bunch of great stuff.
show that you're really in love with me.
Okay.
You have to convince me in whatever the character limit is for Twitter. I'm gonna hold you to this because Gilius doesn't
Character
want you
limit of Twitter.
You have to convince me that you love Gilius.
Okay.
You have to use all 280 characters to convince
Talk
me
about how
that you
great
love
Gilius
Gilius.
is. Okay.
Love.
I like that.
That's
now,
not that hot.
if Splice wins, which is fairly likely in this case, Gilius, and this was Drakus' great idea.
Yes. Let's do it.
You need to record a 30-second clip where you're reading a very, very wholesome speech to the world about how everything is awesome and perfect, and what else did you want?
So you have so many spicy tweets. We thought we'd contrast it with a nice, wholesome video where you talk about how EULCS is so great. You know, honestly, I feel like we're all so good at the game. Everybody's having fun.
You love, the podcast. You love us.
Sure, I mean, that's
you love all the other junglers and
yeah.
All right.
30
I think
seconds.
all junglers are really good, and everyone's gonna have a good time. And I'm honestly just just really wholesome, really positive.
30-second video.
Sure, man.
Cool.
I'm not gonna have them anyway, but
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the match to watch this week is Splice versus Vitality. Deficio has to use 280 characters to convince me and the rest of the world that he loves Gilius in the event of a Vitality win. In the event of a Splice win, we have a 30-second video where Gilius is just absolutely as wholesome as possible, telling all of EULCS how much he loves them and how great it is to be an EULCS player. Wonderful. So there it is. Those are the stakes for the week.
Yes, sir.
This is the end of our show. Does anyone have any final words?
No.
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 It was
guess.
fun though.
We've been talking for a long time, so
It's true. We're a
used
little
up
over.
everything we got.
I feel like I want to read.
Oh, I will do a thing, of course, we have to do just at the end. We have to, of course, tell everyone week 9 of EULCS.
Yes,
it's gonna
Friday.
Be insane.
And Saturday.
Nothing is locked for playoffs other
Except for
than Fnatic.
Knack in first.
Yeah, Fnatic first. So that also means...
Splice are also watching playoffs, but not in second.
Yes. Fnatic first means they're guaranteed top 4, which means they're guaranteed to go to Copenhagen, play in the Royal Arena, early April, 7th and 8th of April.
Buy tickets.
There's everything, fan meets, and you can meet Reckless and stuff, and 2 Danes, Brox and Caps. Like, a lot of good reasons to go just by Fnatic being there. And there is a good chance Gilius will also be in Copenhagen. And if you ever want to meet Gilius, then you should probably go.
Yeah.
And he should make top 4.
And as a final kind of, before we go, obviously, thanks for listening. Buy some tickets, YouTube,
Subscribe.
SoundCloud, iTunes. Subscribe, let us know. In the words of the immortal at Gilius Law, don't be worried about our star players leaving to NA. When I meet them internationally this year, I will make sure they regret their decision. And with those words of wisdom, we will call this the end of the episode.